Hello, and welcome to our episode of this literary and educational theorist house. Sort of like Big Brother, but we move in three prominent literary and educational theorists into a house and just see what hijinks ensue. Inside our house, we have Stanley Fish, who is very upset and seems to be in Enzaldua's bed crying because he just lost his political job. No real surprises there. He got very upset about a fire that started in the kitchen and just kind of had a meltdown. Recently, we can see that he also, no surprise there, developed a new emotion. His quirk, Emotion Bomb. Stanley is finding it difficult to process his negative emotions in a healthy manner. Feelings of anger or sadness quickly become overwhelming and always result in an overdramatic emotional meltdown. So this is a project that's taken a lot of time to build these AI of Gloria Anzaldúa and I.A. Richards and Stanley Fish living together, but I want to talk a little bit about who they are and then my rationale for creating their individual AI the way that I did. First, we have Stanley Fish, who is the totalitarian Tinker Bell, someone who is into anti-foundationalism, also associated to his chagrin with postmodernism. Spoken at many universities, looked as a fatalist, calling himself a public intellectual, whatever that is, and believes that the humanities have no instrumental value. So Fish is best at knowing how to make friends and neighbors and lots of enemies at the same time. His ideas about criticism in general are that if your criticism about him is in any way intelligible, then it is secretly something that boosts his point. Otherwise, it's just plain stupid, so therefore he cannot be criticized whatsoever. In Slate magazine, Judith Sholowitz reported that not only does Fish openly proclaim himself unprincipled, but also rejects wholesale the concept of fairness, impartiality, and reasonableness. To Fish, ideas have no consequences. Either just not going to work, apparently, because now he's lost his job. For his traits, for Stanley Fish, I decided to choose non-committal, because he can't seem to commit to even himself. Self-absorbed, that one just comes along pretty naturally. And snob, these Sims can critique work on low-quality items, are bored by low-brow television, and gain confidence around other snob Sims. Also, quick learner. For Mr. Richards, who is now at work, he is we'll just call him Captain Crazy Pants to some, advocate of close reading and symbolism. He believed that the best way to approach a text was without context so that you could learn about what it takes to create short stories, fiction, and poetry. He desired to form a basic English that would make the English language more accessible around the world, specifically with the nation of India. He was a mountain climber that also married a mountain climber. Very interesting dude. He's a literary critic, and he believed that literary criticism was impressionistic and too abstract for almost anyone to understand, and as irony would have it, his beliefs also inspired a new generation of literary critics to agree with him. He is someone who his traits that we have selected are that he's a geek, definitely a geek, very interested in perhaps the most Sims-like character there can be. All of these icons at the bottom of the screen are meant to quickly tell the gamer what they mean so they can access information. That's something that's very much Richards. So you could say this would have been something Richards would have been interested in designing himself. Self-assured. He spends a lot of his time in the garage by himself, talking to himself, but he does tend to believe that he is right. Another quick learner who is, well, just very erratic. This is a rare moment right here we're seeing now where Fish is actually interacting with Anzaldúa. He likes to take her bed, her food, her computer, and then largely ignore everyone else in the house. But since he lost his job and is needing emotional support for himself, he seems to have taken the time to have a conversation. For Anzaldúa, we have the Chicana cultural theorist, also a queer and feminist theorist, author of Borderlands, one of her most famous novels, loosely based on her life, and the theory that people who exist along borderlands form specific and unique relationships. She was the daughter of famous explorers to North America rather, and also believed that anyone who decided to discard their own cultural language or cultures in general was submitting to a form of linguistic terrorism. She was against homogenization of peoples and cultures. For her traits, she is the most authorish of the bunch, being the most published of fiction of the bunch. She has loner, because just like as she writes in Borderlands, she spent a lot of time alone, specifically due to a menstrual condition that caused her to start menstruating at age 3, and then have to have a hysterectomy to avoid a host of other problems by age 38. She was someone who dealt with a lot of health problems and just difficulties living on those borderlands and finding her place in the world, which is why we selected Loner. Also very ambitious, though. She's written multiple books, given multiple speeches. Gloomy, based on her struggle with mental illness and anxiety and depression, but still coming back to Muser because, same as in real life, she spends most of her time writing and seeing where she can take herself creatively. From this experiment, there's not enough time with any amount of video without watching for hours to show you absolutely everything that this trio has been up to, but we have had to change out. They bought a shower, got rid of the bathtub after Ansel Duo walked in on Richards in the bathtub and didn't sleep for 3 days. They decided they needed some more privacy. Richards doesn't tend to understand privacy. He just bumbles about wherever he's going in his own mind and doesn't seem to understand that bothers people. Ansel Duo, unfortunately, has had to clean up after most of these jackasses all the time. Fish won't do anything, Ivor just doesn't notice anything, and Ansel Duo seems to be the only one present. They've had a nice house. They burnt down the kitchen once, which was part of what ended up with Fish losing his job and his emotional meltdown. I do think the next thing that we'll be doing is to try and get Mr. Fish back to work and back to finding some happiness in the job. The politician's track may not work. It hasn't really worked out the best for him in his own real life, but it is something he still tries, even in a video game. An actor, a detective. We'll make him a critic. That seems smart. So now Fish is in the critic career. He's got to level up that writing skill. He'll be taking over Ansel Duo's computer. Overall, this group tends to kind of keep to themselves and all consider themselves the most important in the group. If anything I've learned from reading these 3 educational and literary theorists, it's that there's great value in being an obstinate jackass. Each of them, in their own way, decided to disregard what they were told about how they had to live and what they had to think, and no matter how much you agree or disagree with them, it does seem like the entire point of literary and educational theory is founded upon the idea that you don't accept what others tell you is the way to believe about how to educate our youth, or how to even look at literature on the whole. So as moving forward, I think that I will try to be the most obstinate jackass as possible in order to support Fish, Richards, and Ansel Duo. Well, it looks like the Spice Festival's coming into town. I definitely know that Richards and Ansel Duo are going to want to check that out. Fish might want to go down there and just listen to the sound of his own voice. But until next time, thanks for watching, and we will go ahead and leave you there. Thanks for watching.